All right. Well, welcome everybody to this evening's board meeting. We're going to call this meeting to order at 6:16, and we apologize for the delay. But we were discussing in closed session, and sometimes it takes a little longer just to get out here and in front of you. So we apologize for that, but we're ready, and we're going to go on with the meeting. So we are here, everybody's here, and there is a quorum. At approximately 8:30, the Board of Education will determine which of the remaining agenda items can be considered and acted upon prior to 9 o'clock.
I'm sorry, Carolyn, may I interrupt?
Yeah.
It's not broadcasting.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. Well, welcome everybody. We apologize that we are late. We apologize that we're late. We had some issues in closed session that we need to discuss, but we're here now and we look forward to this board meeting. So we're going to call this board meeting to order at 6:17. And everybody is here. There's a full quorum, board, cabinet, and superintendent. At approximately 8:30, the Board of Education will determine which of the remaining agenda items can be considered and acted upon prior to 9 p.m. and may continue all other items on which additional time is required until a future meeting. All meetings are scheduled to end no later than 9 p.m. At this time, I'm going to ask Mr. Robert Schwant to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Robert.
Thank you, Carolyn. Please stand with me.
Hand over your heart. Ready? Begin.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the republic.
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Schwant. I appreciate that. Okay, at this time, Dr. Muzzarino, I'm going to has an announcement to make to our teachers, staff, and community, to our Albert family.
Thank you, Madam President. Due to the current conditions related to the coronavirus, the Board of Education is exercising its right to delay the physical return to school. Students will begin school on August 10th as planned, but remotely. I will provide additional details in a message and a press release. The board will reevaluate the situation after Labor Day to determine when it is safe to return students and employees to school.
Thank you very much, Dr. Muzzarino. At this time, we're going to do public comment. As authorized by Governor Newsom's Executive Order 92920, dated March 17, 2020, the Albert Unified School District will conduct all meetings of the board meetings via teleconference until further notice. The meetings will be live streamed via YouTube. Pursuant to Executive Order N2920, the governing board will take public comments. All public comments must be submitted in writing in advance of the meeting. Please submit your written public comments to superintendent@albertschool.org no later than 9 a.m. on July 16, 2020. During the governing board meeting, written public comments received in a timely manner will be read for the governing board. Pursuant to the board bylaw 9323, public comments prior to will be limited to 20 minutes speaking time. Duplicate public comments will not be read during the meeting. However, all public comments will be provided to the governing board in advance of this meeting. And due to the number of public comments, we have decided that we're going to, we will be reading all public comments that we have received before the deadline of 9 a.m. this morning. So I think we have around 23, so they all will be read. And at this time, Dr. Muzzarino, I'm going to ask you to, do we have the public comments ready to read for the board?
Thank you, Madam President. We do. And in addition to the 23 comments, we've also received numerous emails from students, parents, and faculty members who chose not to make it a public comment, but to share their thoughts, their fears, just the sheer breadth of how overwhelming this experience has been to so many of them, with concerns that we all have for every member of our community. And we recognize that our model, which is built to pivot is being put to use right now. And I believe in the best interest of our community, of our school community. So with that, I'm going to kick it over to Dr. Kemp, who has organized all of the comments, and I think she has a team of readers who are going to share our students, parents, and staff members' thoughts.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Miserino. I do have 8 comments here for myself to read, and I will begin with Daniel Reyes. Members of the board and cabinet, my name is Dan Reyes, and I'm a teacher at Norte Vista High School. I write to you today in hopes of urging you to switch to remote instruction to begin the year and eventually switch to the hybrid model. Let me first say that the model and presentation were well done. Having kids that attend school in another district, I was beyond pleased to see that this plan was well thought out, unlike the one presented in my kids' district. However, that is where we currently stand. We are out of plan. The measures that were given in order to provide safety, I feel will do just that if they had been proposed at the onset of the state stay-at-home order, were implemented, and I was asked to return in May to finish off the school year, I would have gladly done so, but that's not the case now. You're well aware of the surging number of COVID cases, not only across the country and state, but here in Riverside County. I'm sure that you've seen the numbers, and undoubtedly some of my colleagues have indeed presented them to you in their letters. A well thought out plan still needs to be implemented. A lot of my colleagues and I feel this is where we must pause and point some things out. At this point, it is just a plan. With less than 3 weeks before the start of school, it's hard to imagine that all measures will be put into place in all classrooms across the district, as well as the measures for support certificated as well as classified in just a few weeks. To have items on order is not having them in a warehouse ready to be installed. An installation cannot be something that is rushed through in order to start the first day of school. Hastily completed jobs tend to be the ones that need to be fixed yet again at a cost. But the potential cost for this is far too high. This is not what the situation needs to be, and it should go without saying that health and safety in a time like this does not need to be hastily put together, the safety measures, but clearly executed measures according to the plans that were presented. In fact, I cannot recall a time that the filter in my classroom was changed, and there have been several incidents with fellow teachers on campus, including a fire where it was revealed they had no filters. Yet we are to rely on this when we know that they have not been present before, with more reports coming out speaking on the ventilation in a room possibly contributing to cases. The state superintendent of schools is now saying that schools should not reopen under current conditions. We have to be assured before we step into the classroom or on campus for that matter, that all of these measures are in place for the safety of all. That requires time. I'm well aware of that, which is why I suggest that the remote start ensures safety as well as gives the district time to make sure they have all the materials necessary and give parents and students the time to make the decision that is best for them when the time is right to move on to either the hybrid or virtual model. The decision that they have to make is an enormous one, especially in terms of those that have been in programs that are not offered virtually. No one should have to willingly choose health over education. To do so is not equitable. In short, the plan for safety is right, but it is the wrong time. Please remember that if we are continuing to have via Zoom or Google Meet, if we are continuing to have meetings via Zoom or Google Meet, we cannot at this point walk into the district office to conduct business or willingly walk into any store and buy sanitizer or disinfectant, especially now with another small run on supplies happening due to the rollback of the state's opening. It's hard pressed to believe that we can have that for the thousands of students and employees in our district in just a few weeks. Thank you for your time. Next comment is from Christopher Jeffrey. Good evening, board members and superintendent. I've been a teacher in the Alvord Unified School District for the past 16 years. I'm writing this to express my concern for the opening of our 2020 school year. The current increases in the number of new COVID-19 cases, hospitalizations, death, and overall positivity rate of infection leads me to believe that this virus is out of control. Just as recently as yesterday, it was reported that children in the state of Florida were testing positive at a rate of 9 to 31%, depending on which article you read. Although the rate for children in Riverside may be lower right now, I can see this number ballooning quite dramatically if we open schools while our numbers are surging. As I do my shopping with my mask on, I see too many people, especially ones with small children that are not doing the one simple thing we are being asked to do, which is to wear a mask to help stop the spread. These are the same parents that give their children medication to mask their children's sickness so that they can come to school, and I'm afraid they'll do the same with COVID-19. You can check my past history of sick days and see that I've never carried over my allotment of days from one year to the next. This is not because I was ill, but because I keep my children home when they are sick. I don't want to infect other families by sending them to school. I wish more people would follow suit. Personally, I have a wife and 6-year-old daughter that are both asthmatics, which puts them in the high-risk category for this disease. I would be devastated if I were to bring this disease home to my wife or daughter and have to watch them struggle to fight for their health when this all could have been avoided by the board making the decision to start the school year in a virtual model until our numbers are under better control. All of us wish that we did not have to be in this situation, but we are and should not make guesses when the stakes in our students, staff, and their families' lives. I want to thank you all for the work you put in and hope you make a decision based on everyone's well-being. Sincerely, Chris Jeffrey.
Thank you.
Next comment is from Billy Rhodes. School board members and superintendent, just want to add my voice to the many teachers hoping you will reconsider and instead decide to begin the school year in an entirely distance learning format. The primary issue is the safety of our students, teachers, and staff members. All of the lives are precious, and it makes no sense to expose any of them to unnecessary risks. From a teaching standpoint, I want you to understand the normal anxiety that comes with the new school year is there, but it's doubled by the fear many of us have of contracting this virus or passing it on to someone else. It makes no sense to take this chance when there's a viable option in place. Teachers were lauded for their efforts to convert to distance learning on precious little notice at the end of last school year. We've learned a lot since then, and I'm certain things will go even better. We got a glimpse of that in summer school. Please put yourselves in our position, and those of you who have had school-age children, please think about how you would be feeling right now regarding your children returning to school. The Alvord family is one I am proud to have been part of for 23 years now, and no member of the family, student, teacher, or staff should be put in harm's way when it can be avoided. Sincerely, Billy Rhodes.
Thank you.
Okay, and next comment is from Evan James. Hello, Alvord School Board. I have family members at Alvord schools. Given the current state of the pandemic, with cases continuing to grow in our district, I have some concerns for the safety of the students and their families, as well as for the teachers, custodial staff, and administrators. Adding that the two largest school districts in Southern California have declared that they plan to begin the new school year in a distance learning, and as of Wednesday, July 15th, the State Superintendent of Public Instruction, Tony Thurmond, has suggested that school districts in California should prepare to offer distance learning instead of in-person instruction. I believe it should be strongly considered that we begin the school year in the previously outlined Model 3 full distance learning. I believe a lot of work has gone into the planning and preparation for Model 2, the hybrid approach, and I don't believe that that planning has been in vain. So as not to discredit the time, effort, and sense the Model 2's approach, I would suggest that we begin the school year in Model 3 and slowly phase into Model 2 once COVID-19 cases have dramatically declined. From there, we could move into a full reopening when appropriate. Hopefully, by also beginning in Model 3, more time can be dedicated to further planning out Model 2 and resolving any issues and corner cases that may have been brought up since its announcement last week. I appreciate your time in hearing out my thoughts and concerns on how we could move forward with the new school year. Sincerely, Evan James.
Thank you.
Next comment is from Stacy Brown. I love my students, but I'm afraid for my health and life by returning on site to teaching in any format. Thanks, Stacy Brown.
Thank you.
Okay. The next one is from Tiffany Ferreira. Dear President Wilson, Vice President Vega, Dr. Joanna Dorado, Mrs. Moreno, and Mr. Schwant, I'm really concerned about the position I'm in. I feel like my only choice is to go virtual learning due to my health and my husband's health, so I did put in for a transfer. It makes me really anxious, though, because I can get assigned to any grade, and it's technically leaving my position at Stoco 3rd grade voluntarily. I have a couple of questions. Do I pack up and leave Stoco before the school year starts? Can I get my current position back when COVID trends stabilize? I want the district to try and assign a virtual learning teacher with a group of students for their own school and grade level so they have a spot to go back to when this is over. Please help to address this. Thank you.
Thank you, Tiffany.
Next comment is from Stuart Drake. Esteemed board, please follow the lead of San Diego and Los Angeles in implementing a distance learning model. I know that it's a tough decision to make, but it must be made for the safety of all.
Thank you, Stuart.
Next public comment is from Kristen Matthews. Coronavirus cases in California are not under control, and we still don't know what the long-term effects of the disease are and how much transmission risk aerosol poses. As much as we all yearn to be able to get back to in-person classes, to open now would be a needless risk to all involved. When the first student or teacher passes away this year, will we look back at this opening and decide it was worth it? By deciding now that resuming in-person instruction is the best plan, we're answering that question with a yes. School districts all around us are choosing online learning this year. Why is Alvord not doing the same? Thank you, Kristen Matthews.
Thank you, Kristen.
And my last one is Tina Naif. Attention, Superintendent Mussolino, members of AUSD board and cabinet members. My name is Tina Naif, and I'm a 16-year dedicated veteran at La Sierra High School teaching ceramic courses. My first question is regarding PPE for all classroom teachers. When are those materials and supplies due to arrive? Specifically, when will they be in the possession of teachers? I'm asking out of concern that these supplies will not arrive in a timely manner by August 10th, as hand sanitizer equipment has not been installed in my art classroom as of 1 week ago. Please advise. Thank you, Tina Naif.
Thank you, Tina.
And that concludes my public comment, and Dr. Presby will continue with an additional 5.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Kemp.
Thank you, Dr. Kemp. All right, my first public comment comes from Priscilla Grijalva, and she writes, Dear school board members and cabinet, my name is Priscilla Grijalva, and I'm a school counselor at Norte Vista High School. I am writing you today to highly encourage you to open our schools virtually ASAP. I understand that parents want their kids back in school, and I do too, but we are so far from normal right now. I realize we want our students to have the social emotional learning aspect, and we worry about their mental health. As a school counselor, we will still help our students virtually with social emotional, college, career, and academic counseling, as we have been since we shut down. We will continue to help them through Google Meets, Zooming with our school counselors, phone calls, emails, and Google Classroom. We will help individually and doing workshops online. Our school counselors continue to share resources and learn new technology skills. Kids will be okay. It will be challenging, but putting staff and students at risk is not okay. With distance learning, no one dies. As a school counselor, balancing the difficult schedules in 1 week will be a scheduling nightmare with virtual and hybrid, not just for students, but for our staff. Then factoring in the job transfers for virtual or staying at their home school for hybrid. The structural chaos will hurt our kids. Our kids need normalcy, and they need their teachers they have at their sites. I am proposing we open with the online distance learning until at least October and until we can flatten the curve. We do not need to open, then close, then reopen when the solution is simple and equitable to offer all classes online and have their teachers teach online. This would include Abbott, IB, Puente, academies, yearbook, ASB, band, clubs, and other programs. If we open, then close, then reopen, this will cripple our students. We have already been through a lot. Let us not put our students and staff through more. Sincerely, Priscilla.
Thank you, Priscilla.
Next comment is from Amy Bonwell. Hello. While I'm sure you are all aware that the statistics in our county regarding COVID are abysmal, I do not know that you understand how much worse this is going to get, as we are still in the first wave and the virus, and I know that you have received plenty of careful research from my colleagues on why your decision to open is unwise. If any stakeholders, especially those who could profit during this time, care about the lives of our students and staff, they would not stand behind any version of reopening the campuses at this time. It is baffling and sends a terrible message to this community that a group of people at home on a Zoom call will decide the fate of thousands of students and staff this district is supposed to serve. This is going to create an expensive situation for the district necessarily. And considering the district record of bargaining salaries and benefits in the years I've been employed here, I can only see this falling once again on the shoulders of teachers, support, and custodial staff in the long run. You have seen from parents and community members that regardless of who wants to open or not, there are plenty of dangerously acting people who do not support masks, take zero precautions, then will send their children to school to potentially harm their classmates and our staff. Teachers are going to have to fight for virtual academy positions when everyone deserves to make that choice to work on campus or not for themselves. If a pandemic does not warrant strikeable behaviors, what is there to protect our lives from your decision? Some PPE? That is not enough. I respect the work put into the MOU by our union and other stakeholders, but there needs to be more on when and why not to open. Our unalienable rights are to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. But how can we pursue life if we are forced to work in confined areas in a pandemic? Thank you for your time, and I hope the passionate emails you have received will help you make the right decision for this district. A concerned Alvord educator.
Thank you, Amy.
My next comment is from Hugh Wood, Dr. Muserino, and Alvord board members. First and foremost, thank you for continued service and support. After watching the last board meeting, I had several questions about reopening. I emailed my concerns to the Hillcrest teachers, and it seems that the majority of teachers share these same concerns and more. We would like to let you know that we do not think it's the best to open using the hybrid model. I see no mention of testing and contact tracing in the MOU. What happens if someone tests positive, highly likely? Are we then going to switch to distance learning? There was an FAQ during the board meeting about opening later than August 10th. The response was that it would be best for teachers to get to know their students personally before a potential shutdown. According to the available COVID-19 data and recommendations from health experts, that doesn't seem like a good idea, especially when that response makes it sound as if you're anticipating a shutdown at some point. This summer, I was able to get to know all of my summer school students via Google Meet, and they thrived in an online learning environment where they had to work for their grade. Students who normally would not speak in class were using the chat option to participate in the live lessons. According to the available data from the CDC, approximately 0.02% of students will die if infected. Alvord has over 2,000 students, so 4 students will die if everyone is affected. If only half the students are infected, then 2 students will die. The youngest adults have a 0.1% of dying. Also, what about the pain and suffering that comes from surviving COVID-19? Will teachers and students be forced to sign a waiver to return, or will AUSD be held liable? If we can't agree on anything else, I feel the most would agree that much is unknown and the numbers may be getting worse. Why risk it when online learning is a viable option? LA, San Diego, Paris, Valverde, Urupa Valley, and other districts are opening online. Why not us? When the numbers suggest that it's safe to do so, then we should transition to the hybrid model. The hybrid model only provides 2 hours of in-class instruction time. There are pros and cons to each situation, but I feel that online learning would be more beneficial to students as a whole, since students would have 5 hours of face time on Google Meet. The most significant con to opening now would be the student or staff death. My main concern is testing and contact tracing. I think we can all agree that a temperature check is not going to catch all cases. It's also obvious that our school communities are not living in a bubble like pro sports leagues. I want to be able to go home and hug and kiss my kids, my 5-month-old baby, without fears. Most teachers want to stay home for their health and the health of others. I want to be able to spend time with my older family members knowing that I have been quarantining at home. We kindly ask that our board members reconsider the available data and reconsider opening a true online distance model. Thank you. Sincerely, H. Jackson Wood.
Thank you, Hugh.
My next comment comes from Hannah Beckadal. Alvord School Board, I write regarding your decision to put the lives of all Alvord students, staff, and faculty at risk by choosing to open with a hybrid model that includes in-person instruction. This decision, at a time when the cases and hospitalizations are on the rise across the state, as well as right here in Riverside County, is reckless and irresponsible. This decision at a time when Riverside County is at 100% occupancy in the ICU is reckless and irresponsible. When some of our state's largest school districts, LA Unified and San Diego Unified, as well as some of our immediate neighbors such as Harupa Unified, have chosen to open with distance learning for the safety of all, you choose to put thousands of people in harm's way. It sounded as though the last board meeting you were concerned teachers and students needed time to bond before the imminent shutdown. If a shutdown seems too likely, why put everyone in danger? Why risk the lives of so many students and staff? We are lucky to live in a time where we have tools to meet face-to-face with our students virtually. We can still create and foster relationships and rapport with our students. Your hybrid model is setting teachers up for heavily increased workload. We now have to organize block lessons as well as meaningful and engaging lessons, projects, assignments, and assessments to be completed at home. If we were full distance model, we could structure similarly how to practice normally, simply in a digital format. We could meet with all our students daily, discuss and interact daily, answer questions in a timely manner daily. With the hybrid model currently chosen for us, we have to find the time between teaching half the one class, cleaning and sanitizing our rooms between class periods, then taking care of our own personal needs during passing periods and prep times to respond to students and parent emails. Bottom line is your decision has made teachers and staff feel though as we are disposable. We are people vulnerable to this virus who come home to families who may be vulnerable to this virus. You are telling us to spend 7.5 hours a day still coming in contact with 150 plus individuals each week in secondary and dramatically increasing the likelihood of students, staff, and faculty of contracting COVID-19. Do this in reverse. Open with distance learning. We will still connect with our students. Leave that to us, the professionals. When it is safe, begin returning to the hybrid model. Then, when possible and safe, return to school as usual. Anna.
Thank you, Hannah.
And my last comment is from Vanessa Alvarez. I'm a kindergarten teacher at Valverde Unified School District and a product of the Alvord Unified School District. And due to the rise in COVID-19 cases in California, I am in favor of the distance learning model for this new school year for all California schools. It's not only the safest model to choose at this time, but I also feel that the dedicated teachers at Alvord Unified School District are better equipped now to teach from a distance because of the experience they had during trimester 3. Although the coronavirus took us out of our classrooms with no warning, our dedicated team and I collaborated and figured out a way to start teaching online. My kindergarten team and I worked hard creating lessons, organizing our students for a way to start teaching online. My kindergarten team and I worked hard creating lessons, organizing our students for daily Zoom meetings, with students setting up office hours, making ourselves available Monday through Friday, and on most occasions, even on the weekends outside of our office hours, putting together our Google Classroom pages, creating educational and how-to videos with Screencastify, and making materials ready and available for all of our students. Every week, we went above and beyond and discovered and explored new websites and tools and improved our way of teaching in this new world so that students could have more fun, interactive experience learning, and practicing skills that would get them ready for first grade. We scheduled fun spirit days and discussed our feelings to address the social and emotional aspect of distance learning. I can confidently say that my team and I did everything in our power to make distance learning fun, enjoyable, and an educational experience. With that said, I feel that transitioning to the distance learning model at the start of the new school year will be more than possible. Given our prior experience with this model, the teachers at Alvord Unified will be able to get things rolling quicker than they did back in April, and they will build upon their current online teaching skills with new trainings and explorations, which will improve the online distance learning experience. These teachers care, and they will do everything possible to meet the needs of their students in this distance learning model. It is not only the safest model to choose at this time, but it is a model that Alvord will be able to successfully plunge into with all of the new challenges awaiting to be creatively conquered by its eager students and dedicated teachers and staff. Vanessa Alvarez. And that concludes my section of the public comments.
All right. Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you very much, Dr. Presby.
Mr. Emaneker?
Okay. Okay, so the first public comment is from Elizabeth Mersick. Hi all. There is a special circumstances in which the whole world had to adapt to the new way of living for months now in order to save lives. As we all know, this pandemic is not over yet, and the coronavirus rates are rapidly climbing for a second time. This new normal of keeping a 6-foot distance, wearing masks, staying at home as much as possible, etc., has not been easy for any of us, but it sure has helped us to minimize the spread of this deadly virus. For the sake of our students, their families, us teachers, and our families, we need to reconsider the hybrid method and reflect upon the full scope of a second outbreak. This is a pandemic, and it's obviously in its second wave with infection rates skyrocketing once again. We shouldn't let our guard down. Together, we need to ensure that all sacrifices everyone has made and continue to make since we went on lockdown continue until at least winter break. Then we can reassess if students and teachers can go back to our beloved classrooms for spring. As we know, the two largest school districts in the state, LAUSD and SDUSD, have both adopted a 100% online model. Following suit, in the same time when infection rates have not been significantly lowered and adequate testing and contact tracing systems are not options, several other large California districts, including Santa Clara, Oakland, and San Bernardino, have also announced full-time remote instruction. It is a sound decision by all and makes the health and safety of our students, teachers, and families a top priority. In fact, I applaud San Diego Unified for giving teachers expanded training on online education, as well as students who are receiving training to become better online learners. Like many other teachers, I dearly miss the daily interaction with my students, but lifting restrictions, even for just a few hours a week, may very likely be moving too fast and result in regretfully and unnecessary outcomes. Let's be realistic here. It's going to be very difficult for our kiddos to obey social distance and or maintain proper health measures, among others. Also, for us teachers who are moving to other classrooms throughout the day, the risk of getting sick will be higher. And please, let's consider the stress levels that this can result in. Senor Rama, I applaud you for mathematically logical toward the benefits of live learning versus the hybrid model push for self-directing learning and minimal opportunities for teachers and students to engage. I agree with the appropriate training to go fully online. We can teach and interact with our students virtually and help minimize the learning gap and burden we place on students to fend for themselves when they aren't in class. I too will abide by decisions made by my employer, but why rush and risk people's lives when, as a district, we have the means to go virtual, teach rigorously, and help our students take ownership of their own behavior. In this way, we can keep safety as our number one priority during this pandemic, but also elevate the learning experience for our students with hands-on, live online teaching. Again, at least for the first part of our 2020-2021 school year, we should modify our way of teaching as we move forward, hopefully towards a brighter spring semester.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
The next one is from Alexis Carter. To the Governing Board, I appreciate the opportunity to express my concerns and questions about the hybrid model due to the recent rise in COVID-19 cases in our state and community, which I have outlined below. If a teacher tests positive for COVID and has 3 classes a day with 15 to 18 students per class period, 4 times a week, do all those students need then to stay home in quarantine for 14 days? Do all of those students now have to be tested? Are they happening at school? How are parents being notified? Does everyone in each of those kids' families need to get tested? What if someone who lives in the same house as a teacher tests positive? Does a teacher now need to take 14 days off work to quarantine? Will substitute teachers be willing to work in an exposed classroom with possibly infected students if a teacher tests positive and is on leave? Substitutes in multiple schools. What if they are diagnosed with COVID-19? Do all the kids in each school now quarantine and get tested? What if a student in a class tests positive? Does every student and teacher they have been around quarantine? Do we all get notified who is infected and when? Or because of HIPAA regulations, are parents and teachers going to get a may have been contact emails? At campuses, there are teachers that share classrooms. Will classrooms be disinfected after each period? Won't this constant moving of teachers and students amongst building significantly increase exposure? How will it affect the faculty when the first staff member and or peer in their school test positive and possibly develop severe symptoms?
Thank you, Alexis.
The next one is from Susan Bain. Dear Alward School Board Dear Alward School Board, members of Cabinet, and Superintendent Mussolino, I need to express my concerns about the choice to offer a hybrid school opening in August. I think this is dangerous at this time when everything around is closing down due to surges in coronavirus. First, I think it is crucial to look at COVID-19 data. Currently, Riverside County has 27,850 confirmed cases of coronavirus and 577 confirmed deaths. Of these 27,850 active cases, 1,771 of them are in the 5 to 17 age group. Yes, children can get coronavirus. Within our outward boundaries, there were 2,354 confirmed active cases as of today, July 15th. Next, I want to thank Lee and the district for their hard work on the MOU that was sent out. It is more than most districts are doing, but I still have some concerns about the cleaning and disinfecting process. Is the district going to be able to put up all the dividers and plexiglass barriers in time for the start of school? I'm still having trouble finding Lysol sprays, wipes, and other disinfecting materials for my home. Will the district be able to order and receive these before the start of school? And will we face shortages as we have seen in our stores? Thinking of the future, many elementary classrooms tables have tables that seat 2 students. Will these be replaced with individual desks to accommodate social distance? Can this be done before the start of school? Next, will kids in each cohort be sharing a desk? Will these desks be disinfected each day? What about textbooks? Students will be handling textbooks, workbooks, notebooks. Will these items be disinfected between cohorts? I will not address my questions about planning in the hybrid model at this time. My immediate concern is the health and safety of both staff and students. Please reconsider opening our schools in light of our state superintendent's recent comments that California schools should begin the year virtually. We are in the middle of two large districts, LA and San Diego, who have made this choice, and I wish we would do the same. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Susan.
Okay, the next one is from Susanna Ochoa. Dear Governing Board, my name is Susanna Ochoa, and I'm the incoming senior at La Sierra High School. I'm taking the time to write to you about my concerns towards the plan the district has launched to reopen. The plan is to make students and their families make the choice to start the school year through Edgenuity or hybrid learning. There are multiple concerns I would like to address. To begin, I spent my Tuesday night torn over the fact that the current circumstance and the district's reopening plan have made me choose between the senior year I had been looking forward to for the past 3 years or complete online experience in a system I am not familiar with. The classrooms I have been so excited to sit in, and the teachers I was so excited to learn from, all have been, in a way, taken away from me. I had planned out my 4-year accordingly to the quality of AP and honors teachers at my school, since so many of these teachers are dedicated to the success of their students. However, now, the district's reopening plan, I've had to choose between the quality of my education and the safety of myself and my family. Simply put, the district's decision to move forward with hybrid learning is putting so many lives at risk. Yes, to some, it may seem like the best option, but in reality, is it worth endangering the health of so many individuals? The district has claimed to want the best for their students and staff while remaining to return to an in-person class. Safety precautions have been enforced, but have the extremities been considered? Symptoms of COVID-19 don't begin to show until 2 or 14 days after exposure. Currently, Riverside University Health System reports Riverside County has reached 27,371 confirmed cases, 548 individuals currently hospitalized, with 141 of those in ICU, and 577 deaths. The system we have had through Google Classroom upon closure in March was one of the best things Albert Unified has done. Although for some students online learning was difficult, learning through Google Classroom was possible. Resources such as Google Meets were used by the teachers effectively. I asked the board to consider using the same system along with the schedule that presented for the hybrid learning. These resources not only allow for all students to continue as they would have, but they also are free. In regards to the option of
Is he frozen?
He is suspended here for a moment, so let's wait till he comes back on and let him start where he left off.
Thank you very much.
Madam President, I suggest we move on to our next reader until Mr. Emenaker is able to get back online.
Thank you, we will. Is that Trustee?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Board and Dr. Marino, I have 5 comments to share with you this evening. The first is from Justin Nguyen. Dear Al Board Superintendent and Board members, as of today, July 14th, 2020, many school districts, LA, San Diego, Santa Ana, Anaheim, San Bernardino, Pasadena, etc., are all going full distance learning. I have a few concerns about our hybrid program listed below. Number 1, splitting limited resources on 2 separate programs, hybrid and full distance. I feel that my child will not get the same opportunities and quality of education if we choose full distance versus hybrid. Can you assure me that my child will receive the same level and quality of education as hybrid students? Number 2, according to last week's board meeting, presenters stated that PPE and hand sanitizer stations are still on back order until December. Will hybrid programs open and continue to operate without proper PPE and sanitizing products? Will school budgets help purchase masks and PPE for students and teachers? Will Al Board find a vendor that will guarantee PPE and sanitizing products year-round? Will Al Board guarantee the safety of their staff and students? I am a registered nurse and work at a local hospital. I don goggles, N95 respirator masks, isolation gowns, and gloves when entering COVID-19 positive rooms. Our board will not have the budget and supplies to constantly replenish PPE and cleaning products because even hospitals are facing this challenge. Our board school district will now face costly litigation when lives are lost due to lack of PPE and cleaning, ? Number 3, What happens when an outbreak occurs after a couple months of opening? What is Alborg's school district's plan? Will we all scramble again like last year when the pandemic caught us by surprise? If schools are ordered to shut down by the county or governor's office, will Alborg be ready to provide structured and quality full distance education? We should focus all of our resources on planning and ramping up technology to help us provide a quality online distance learning platform for our Alborg students. I feel that we are setting up our community for failure. I understand Alborg School District feels pressure to open, but we need to listen to science and our healthcare experts. Thank you.
Thank you, Dusty.
My next comment is from Amy Johnson. To the Board of Education for Alborg Unified School District. To say I am disappointed in your choice to reopen schools is a gross understatement. Better words might be shocked, terrified, bereft, and horrified. This should not surprise me, however, since in recent years, this board has proven time and time again that staff and students here at AUSD are not the priority. To reopen schools in our district while the rate of infection is around 20%, according to testing numbers completed in Riverside County and reported on July 14, 2020 by Channel 3 News, is careless at best and criminally negligent at worst. The second issue reported in the same article is that the demographics of the infection are shifting. Cases are rising in the 5 to 17 and 18 to 39 age groups. These are the ages of our students, staff, and faculty. The rate of infection practically guarantees that there will be outbreaks in schools, and the claims that you will defer to the experts when and if the situation arises gives your staff, faculty, and parents with children at these schools no comfort and no trust. It appears that you are simply throwing caution to the wind, crossing your fingers, and hoping that we will avoid the radioactive fallout of the ticking bomb you have set off in your own backyard. When your task force that did not include classroom teachers made all the decisions to reopen, it appears they failed to look at reality when doing so. What happens to our students when the first teacher or classmate falls ill? What happens when the first teacher or classmate dies? I have had the experience of being in a classroom when a student learns about the death of a friend, and it is an experience I wish on no one. The students always want to know why. That is their favorite question. What do I answer them when they ask, why were we all exposed, and do you know how they got it, and why are we back in school? Do I give them your phone number and tell them to ask you? What happens when a student brings the virus to campus and exposes hundreds of other people? Because let's face it, the belief that students will follow social distancing at all times is a joke. You are expecting a teacher to become a public health safety officer and teach robust lessons at the same time. Your current plan to handle exposure, the exposure that you are ensuring happens by forcing your staff and students back to this environment, is inadequate and desperately lacking the details and clarity that people require for their safety and mental health. Distance learning is a path that the district could have chosen to do its utmost to keep everyone safe. Multiple districts, our neighbors, have publicly declared virtual learning to be the only safe option. AUSD has the capability to keep everyone safe. We have the technology, and as imperfect as that technology is, it will engage our students. Your educators were given less than 24 hours notice last spring and still managed to create robust, meaningful educational experiences online. Imagine what they could do if they were given a week's warning or even a month. But AUSD did not choose the path that ensured the highest level of safety. You have made the decision to open our schools. You have made this decision knowing that there is a pandemic and the cases and infection rates are higher than they were when you closed us down in March and continue to rise. The rest of the state is being told to shut down due to skyrocketing numbers. And during this reclosure, you made the decision to open schools. The preventable infections and deaths that arise from this decision are solely on your hands.
Thank you, Amy.
The next comment is from
Hold on, Madam President, may I?
Yes, of course.
Dusty, I'm not sure about others, but I am not here. You're not loud enough for me.
Okay.
So that could be the case for others as well. And I apologize for the interruption, but if you'd be kind enough to adjust your volume. I haven't heard from others either, but maybe it's just me. I'm old and my ears just don't work as well.
Okay.
There
That's
you go.
better?
Way
better.
better.
Okay.
Way better.
All right. My third comment is from Amy Kaczynski. As an Alvord teacher for the past 16 years, I am very concerned for the safety of our students and staff and all of our families. I do not believe it is safe to go back in-person teaching at this time. Our county infection rate is growing rapidly. Every day there are news stories of more and more children becoming infected and spreading the disease. There is also increasing research that shows there are major health issues that arise just from being infected. Heart problems, lung damage, strokes, blood clots, and the latest brain damage. These are being found in even asymptomatic people. Doctors are worried that these will be chronic conditions that COVID survivors will suffer with for the rest of their lives. There is also the very real danger of community spread. We are now seeing instances of children passing the virus to their families and others around them. One example was of a little boy in Texas who brought COVID-19 home to his parents, and they both died. Our governor just rescinding permission for people to go to indoor services, salons, restaurants, and churches, being examples of places now closed to the public. If it isn't safe to eat inside a restaurant for an hour, how is it safe to sit inside a classroom for 2 to 6 hours? My students are my children. Protecting my children is a job that I take very seriously. I am also very concerned for myself and my fellow teachers, our school staff and administrators, and all of our families. This is a very dangerous virus that quickly infects many people, often from just one infected individual. I believe our safest and best course would be to start the year off distance learning and then transition when our numbers are down. Thank you for your time. Sincerely, Amy Kaczynski.
Thank you, Amy.
This comment is from Shauna Green. Good evening, Mrs. Wilson. Well, probably morning by the time you get this. I hope you and your family are doing well. It was suggested to me that we email members of the board before 9 a.m. tomorrow to have our voices heard, so I figured, why not? First, I want to say that under these complicated, ever-changing circumstances, I appreciate all of the work, collaboration, and thought that has gone into making these impossible decisions. I am not here to sway on what is best, but please just request some things to address. Number one, I personally want to be back with my students. However, if the decision changes to start the year with full distance learning, I ask, no, I beg, please allow us to do our virtual instruction from our classrooms, at least part of the time. We teachers cannot teach from our homes effectively. Number two, if we stay with the hybrid model, please think more about students sharing anthologies, desks, etc. There are concerns that sharing and bringing everything from school to home is just asking for more contamination opportunities. I would prefer my students use the same books and did not share desks and chairs. I would prefer students had a set of supplies at home and a set at school, so minimal items were brought back and forth. I understand that not every detail has been laid out for me, and perhaps some of my concerns have already been addressed. Thank you and best wishes sorting everything out. It's so difficult to choose what's best when there really isn't a best option under these circumstances. Regards, Shana Green.
Thank you, Shana.
And my last one is from Lindsay Denbo. First, I appreciate that this time is a difficult time with difficult decisions being made. I miss my students and want nothing more to be back in the classroom. However, I am concerned as a teacher and a mother. I have a 4-year-old and a 1-year-old. Both my son and I have asthma. I also have EDS, which exacerbates lung issues. Going back into the classroom with such a high rate of transmission means not if, but when one of my kids or I will bring it home. Also, if I need to go to work, both my kids will be going to a preschool that will be following the DPH guidelines, including keeping kids out for a minimum of 17 days should any symptom occur. Little kids get fevers for everything. Needing to stay home with them will happen often. My family will be safe, and I will be a better educator if I am able to reach my students from home. Please, I miss my students, but opening schools right now will only hurt them and my family. Protect your teachers and staff. We are not disposable. Please. Thank you for your time. Lindsay Denbo. Those are all my comments.
Thank you. Thank you, Dusty. Thank you, Kevin. We'll pick up now where we
Okay.
left off.
Okay, so I'm going to continue on with this is Susanna Ochoa.
Mhm.
Okay, and I'm going to do some overlap just so we, start at a paragraph here. The system we've had to go through with Google Classroom upon the closure of March was one of the best things Albert Unified has done. Although for some students, online learning was difficult, learning through Google Classroom was positive. Resources such as Google Meets were used by teachers effectively. I asked the board to consider using the same system along with schedules that was presented for the hybrid learning. These resources not only allow for all students to continue as they would have, but are also available for free. In regards to the option of full distance learning, the plan to have students go through Edgenuity presents many problems in itself. A disclaimer, these conclusions have been made from the information that was provided through emails and the course lists for the California on Edgenuity's website. For one, there are limited AP classes offered. Even if students were to settle on these AP classes through Edgenuity, they will most likely not be able to rejoin their peers on the hybrid model. Even if the chance to rejoin arises, the catching up needed from either group would distract from the preparation of AP exams. Alike, the Avid programs are essential for so many seniors. This program will focus on applying for university, colleges, financial aid, and other scholarships for the first semester back. Edgenuity has not listed Avid as one of the programs. It is in a consideration for my neighboring peers at Norte Vista High School. Students enrolled in the IB program have been forced to choose between continuing or dropping the program. I am not sure if you experienced sitting in any of these classes, but if you have, you would understand how difficult this decision is to make. There has yet to be any clarification for these students impacted, which has made the decision process even more difficult. This is due to the fact that all of these classes affect our future regarding higher education. I urge you to think for a second if this board meeting is happening virtually or the safety of those involved, how can you send your students and staff back to in-person classes? Please rethink your decision and consider switching to full distance along with the system that was in place upon closing in March. With thanks, Susanna Ochoa.
Thank you, Susanna.
And this will be my last one.
Okay.
This is from Michelle Dang. Dear Governing Board, my name is Michelle Dang. I'm an upcoming senior at Norte Vista High School. I have been an avid student since 6th grade and an IB student, and on track to be valedictorian. I'm writing you this letter in hopes of having schools within the district offer classes remotely via distance learning for the upcoming school year. While I understand and appreciate the difficulty of learning at home, I believe that the health of our students and staff must be a top priority. As I'm sure you're aware, Governor Newsom has ordered indoor, non-essential businesses shut down in 30 different counties, including Riverside County, as of July 13, 2020. As I am writing you this email, there are 26,481 confirmed cases of COVID and 553 COVID-related deaths in Riverside County, per the LA Times. Not to mention, Riverside County hit a record high of 1,431 new cases in one day on July 10th, 2020. This is from the Fox 11. If this doesn't show you how inadequately we have been in suppressing COVID-19, then I hope this statement made by Dr. Cameron Kaiser with the Riverside County Chief Medical Officer does. In quotes, the fact that we have got multiple numbers going up, including our positivity rate and case rates, show we still have a substantial problem with the transmission in the Inland Empire. If you have the number of cases running around, and we know that not everybody is staying home, then we're going to have to be more. Then there are going to be more of these cases tomorrow. That's from the ABC 7. Right now, I'm currently taking 4 classes, 4 days a week, similar to the sample schedule you showed on 7/12/2020. The difference is that it is all online. To say that it has been easy would be a lie. It has been unusual and difficult, but it's shown me that it is indeed possible to learn through distance learning. It will also ensure that we don't get each other sick. It does not make sense for us to rush back to normal if all we're doing is prolonging the problem. Go back to school would only endanger students and staff. As I'm sure you've heard by now, many inmates and immigrants have been released as cases continue to surge. The consensus should be to avoid groups and non-congregate. The direction we are going right now should be towards staying home, practicing social distancing and good hygiene. It should not be sitting in poorly ventilated rooms at a place where the bathrooms don't even normally have soap stocked. Before we left school to quarantine, I was told the school would be equipped with hand sanitizer. I never once saw any new sanitizer. Just one of my teachers kindly purchased with their own money. My question for you is, how will you ensure the whole campus will be fully stocked of supplies? Not to mention, how difficult is it getting sanitary supplies at this time? That question is not just for you to decide to proceed with a hybrid. I strongly urge you to hope that you will not decide on, but once we return back to normal. In regards to the options you have provided us, I feel that if you're punishing those who chose to go fully distance learning route, we should not have to choose between quality education and our health when there is an option that fulfills both those needs. Full distance learning. There are 2 major issues I take in the district's decision so far. First, in the newsletter sent out on July 12, 2020, under the question, what is the full distance 612 student experience? It is said that students utilize an online learning management system, Edgenuity, for all their instruction. An Albert teacher who is trained to support the online platform guides and supervises the students. This gives me the impression that the full distance learners will only have one teacher to guide them through all of their classes, where students will be learning on their own through Edgenuity. Let's be honest, there is no way any student can properly learn all of their classes this way. If a student struggles before this pandemic hit with one of the Odyssey-ware, how do you think the students will do now with 6 or more classes? My second issue is with the answer to the question, what happens if there's a local order to close school sites? The answer being all students in the hybrid model will continue with their assigned teachers 100% online. Students in the full distance program will remain in the full distance program. The students that did the hybrid model that will inevitably switch to online learning due to the increase of COVID cases will have the support and guidance of all their teachers. Yet students that have done online classes from the beginning will always have one teacher. How is that fair? You're essentially forcing our hand to choose a hybrid option as then we will get a better education only to pay for it at the expense of our health. The guidelines you have set up feel like a slap in the face towards the students like me who chose full distance, because now we'll be unable to take our AVID and IB classes on top of not having the adequate number of educators. Ideally, for the students that return to the classroom, they have learned in a paperless environment, as any non-online assignments would become the vessel for transmission. Essentially, students would be learning online only now that their chances of getting sick increases. What you need to do is follow in the footsteps of the UC system, which I am aware that not all of their classes are online, but there are only a small exception of classes that will be in person. CSU systems, Palm Springs Unified, Paris Union High School District, Arupa Unified, LA Unified, San Diego Unified, and the countless others that have chosen to go remote online-based distance learning. My experience shows it is possible for a student to adapt to remote online-based distance learning. We all deserve to have good education and teachers for each of their classes. Most importantly, we deserve to prioritize our health, and that goes for the students and staff. Personally, I wouldn't be able to sleep at night if I got my family, friends, and teachers sick. So I hope you make the right decision to allow us to learn online. Your student, Michelle Dang.
Thank you, Michelle. Is that
That's
the last
it.
one?
That was
Okay.
it.
Is that the last of the public comments, Dr. Muzzarino?
That is the last, and how incredibly articulate it was, as all of our public comments were. So thank you all for
Yes.
sharing your thoughts with us.
Mhm. And on behalf of the Board of Education, I would also like to thank everybody for sharing their heartfelt comments with us. We appreciate every single one of them, and we hear you. We absolutely hear you. So we thank you very much. And with that, I'm going to close the hearing session, and I'm going to go on to the agenda, and which is the consent agenda now. Number 7, your superintendent recommends approving consent agenda item 7A1 through 7E1. All items listed on the consent agenda are considered by the board to be routine and will be enacted upon by the board in one motion. There will be no discussion or items prior to the time of the board votes on a motion unless members of the board request specific items to be discussed and or removed from the consent agenda. So at this time, I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the agenda.
The consent, so moved.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. And is there any discussion? Okay, with that, I'm going to go to a vote. Mr. Schwandt?
Aye.
Dr. Dorado? Aye. Ms. Marino?
Marino, aye.
Ms. Vega?
Aye.
And Ms. Wilson is an aye. Thank you very much. At this time, we're going to go to actions taken in closed session. Dr. Dorado will please read out.
I think you're muted, Joanna.
Aye.
Here you go.
Okay. Joanna, now we're asking for the readout from closed session, please. Okay. Can you not hear me, Julie?
I think she muted again. Her little icon is coming up new.
Okay. Dr. Gerardo, are you muted?
Joanna, we're not hearing you.
Okay, sorry about that.
Oh, there you go. That's
There you go.
okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Back on. Thank you, board.
There you go.
Okay, so during closed session, we took action on recommendations to readmit expulsion cases. The following cases were 2017-18-32, -63, -53, and the motion was made by Wilson, and it was seconded by Mrs. Moreno. It was 5-0 as recommended. The Board of Education also took action to deny expulsion cases number 2017-18-21, 2019-20 OD4, expulsion case 2019-20-0D7. The motion was made by Mrs. Wilson. It was seconded by Mrs. Moreno. The vote was 5-0 as recommended. Lastly, the Board of Education also took action to reinstate expulsion case 2019-20-9. The motion was made by Trustee Wilson. It was seconded by Trustee Moreno. It was as voted, 5-0, and that concludes our vote.
Thank you very much, Dr. Dorado. At this time, we're going to be making an amendment to the agenda. So I'm going to ask for a vote to amend 8B1 agenda item, please.
So moved.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
So moved.
Thank you very much. Now I'm going to go to a vote. Dr. Dorado?
Aye.
Mr. Swan?
Aye.
Ms. Marino?
Marino, aye.
Ms. Vega?
Aye.
And Mrs. Wilson is an aye. And I'm now going to turn it over to Dr. Muzzarino. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. It's my recommendation to table this until until we could have a further discussion and really truly give it the attention that it so deserves. When I put this on a few weeks ago, things were a little bit different at the time, and it doesn't seem like the timing is right really at this juncture to really engage in the level of conversation that I want to have about this very, very important resolution. So with that, I appreciate the Board of Education tabling it until a future date, perhaps as soon as the next board meeting in August.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Muzzarino, and thank you, Board. Okay, with that, we're going to go on to the Board agenda. 8C1, adopt resolution number 3, special tax rate community facilities district CFD number 2001-1. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Okay, with that, we're going to go to a vote. Mr. Swan?
Aye.
Dr. Dorado?
Aye.
Mrs. Marino?
Marino, aye.
Ms. Vega?
Aye.
And Mrs. Wilson, aye. 8C2, adopt resolution number 4, special tax rate community facilities district CFD number 2002-1. Do I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. And is there any discussion? All right, Mr. Swan.
Aye.
Dr. Dorado.
Aye.
Mrs. Marino.
Aye.
Ms. Vega.
Aye.
And Mrs. Wilson is aye. 8C3, adopt resolution number 5, special tax rates community facilities district CFD number 2006-1. Do I have an motion, please?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Mr. Swan. Oh, is there
Aye.
any discussion? I'm sorry. Is there any discussion? Okay, with that, Mr. Swan,
Aye.
Ms. Marino,
Aye.
Dr. Dorado,
Aye.
Ms. Vega,
Aye.
and Mrs. Wilson is an aye. At this time, we're going to 8D1, renew contract, prefer meals district-wide. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
So moved.
Thank you. I have a first and a second. Is there any discussion? Okay, with that, we'll go to a vote. Mr. Schwant,
Aye.
Dr. Dorado,
Aye.
Mrs. Moreno,
Aye.
Mrs. Vega,
Aye.
and Mrs. Wilson is an aye. 8D2, adopt resolution number 6, annual delegation of administrative authority to process routine budget revisions, adjustments, and transfers. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? With that, we'll go to a vote. Mr. Schwant,
Aye.
Dr. Dorado,
Aye.
Mrs. Marino,
Aye.
Ms. Vega,
Aye.
and Mrs. Wilson is an aye. 8D3, adopt resolution number 7, Central Sanitary Supplies, CSS Rancho Janitorial Supplies Piggyback Cooperative Agreement. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? With that, we'll go to a vote. Mr. Schwant,
Aye.
Dr. Dorado,
Aye.
Mrs. Marino,
Aye.
Ms. Vega,
Aye.
and Mrs. Wilson is an aye. 8D4, adopt resolution number 8, Minnesota NASPO Value Point PC contract. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Okay, we'll move to a vote. Mr. Schwant,
Aye.
Dr. Dorado,
Aye.
Mrs. Marino,
Aye.
Ms. Vega,
Aye.
and Mrs. Wilson is an aye. We're going to go to 8D5, adopt resolution number 9, Office Solutions Piggyback Agreement for 2020-2021. Do I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? All right, Mr. Schwant,
Aye.
Dr. Dorado,
Aye.
Mrs. Marino,
Aye.
Ms. Vega,
Aye.
and Mrs. Wilson is an aye. 8D6, adopt resolution number 10, Southwest Schools and Office Supplies Piggyback Agreement for 2020-21. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? With that, we'll move to a vote. Mr. Schwant,
Aye.
Dr. Dorado,
Aye.
Mrs. Marino,
Aye.
Ms. Vega,
Aye.
and Mrs. Wilson is an aye. 8D7, adopt resolution number 11, Southwest Schools and Office Supply Piggyback. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
And any discussion? Okay, we'll go to a vote. Mr. Schwant,
Aye.
Dr. Dorado,
Aye.
Mrs. Marino,
Aye.
Ms. Vega,
Aye.
and Mrs. Wilson is an aye. Okay, and okay, and at this time we're going to go to Educational Services 8E1, review proposed revisions to board policies and administrative regulations. We are going to waive the second reading if that's okay with the board. So do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion? Okay, with that, we're going to go to a vote. Mr. Schwant,
Aye.
Dr. Dorado,
Aye.
Mrs. Marino,
Aye.
Ms. Vega,
Aye.
and Mrs. Wilson is an aye. All right, we're going to go into Human Resources. 8F1, approve personnel order number 01-2020-20201. Do I have a motion?
Carolyn,
Yeah?
I'd like to remove page 9 for separate vote.
Oh, certainly. Page 9. Okay. All right. So what we'll do is I will ask for a motion for to approve the personnel order with removing page 9. Do I have a motion?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Okay. Here's your first and your second. Is there any discussion? Okay. Mr. Schwant,
Aye.
Dr. Dorado,
Aye.
Mrs. Marino,
Aye.
Ms. Vega,
Aye.
and Mrs. Wilson is an aye. Now, I would like to ask for an approval of the personnel order with page 9, with only page 9. All right, Mr. Schwant. Just abstain.
Abstain.
There you go. Dr. Dorado,
Aye.
Mrs. Marino,
Aye.
Ms. Vega,
Aye.
and Mrs. Wilson is an aye. Okay, with that, that is the close of all the action items. We're now going to go into discussion information items. And I'm going to be turning this over to Ms. Ms. Vega, the Vice President of the board, and she's going to speak to us a little bit about ethnic studies. Thank you very much.
Thank you, President Wilson. So I'm really excited. This is the first time I bring something up for discussion, and I'm excited that it's ethnic studies. So when I first ran and I started, ethnic studies has always been on the back of my mind. It's really important to me. When I was in community college, I was exposed to Chicano studies, and it meant a lot to me. It changed my perspective on my life and my identity. And I haven't brought this up before because, everything that's been going on, just from when I started to now, but I figured there's no better time to do it than to bring it up right now. So last week, I was actually watching a webinar from the California Department of Education on ethnic studies, and the first one that they had was African American Studies, led by Assembly Member Shirley Weber. And she made 2 points that stood out to me, and one was that she talked about colonizers and how they burned books, and that essentially erased their truth and culture information, and therefore their identity. Another thing she said, and I'm paraphrasing here, is knowing about your past can be very empowering. It shapes your character. So when I was in community college, I saw that a lot of students that normally weren't interested in school or motivated changed completely after taking that class. They were actually engaging in discussions, and they were more proud of who they were because now they knew who they were. They knew where they came from, and they saw the successes and failures from leaders before us. And it kind of motivated them to keep going, because it's not something that I learned in high school. So learning this in community college, it really made me think, wow, there's actually people before me that look like me who have the same struggles. They went through it and they succeeded. And I didn't know that they did this or they did that. I learned about the walkouts that happened in LA for schools. And so for me, I know that we have Chicano studies at one of our high schools at Novi, but it's something that I want to see district-wide. And I've talked to Dr. Kemp about this, and I know there's something in the works, but I wanted to bring it forward to the board because, first of all, I want to know what the rest of the board feels, how they feel about ethnic studies, and two, if it's something that we are working on, then the community should know about it, our families, our students should know about it, and they should be keeping us accountable to make sure that we are pushing this through. So I leave it up for anyone else who wants to say something.
Thank you very much, Lizette. Yes, absolutely. I know that we have spoken to Dr. Kemp about this as well, and we know that it is coming down to our district, so we're very excited about that. And I want to see it in all of our schools, not just, I believe, Norte Vista. So it would be nice, and also to see it there you are, hello, Dr. Kemp, to see it in maybe even our middle schools as well. So I look forward to that, and maybe Dr. Kemp, you could speak on what we are doing and how excited we are about the programs that are coming forward to Albert.
You're muted, Sherry.
It's Sherry. There you are.
I'll just take them off. Okay, I prepared just a little something so that everybody understands what ethnic studies is in our assembly bill and what's coming and what we're doing here in Alborn and what we will be doing. So Assembly Bill 331, the ethnic studies bill, states that ethnic studies will be a graduation requirement by the year 2024. So we will absolutely have to do this because it'll be a graduation requirement for all of our students. The California Department of Education is creating a model curriculum that honors the 4 foundational groups of African American, Chicano or Latinx, Asian American, and Native American. So they are currently working on this model curriculum for us. And according to the CDE, the course will honor the human experiences and the intersectionality of all students that we serve together. And the final draft from the CDE is expected March of 2021, so spring of this school year. So we're really eagerly anticipating the release of this curriculum, and we're going to be integrating the ethnic studies into our courses, of course, at all of our high schools, and then we'll bring it down to our middle schools. So what we're doing right now, as Ms. Vega noted, we do, Norte Vista High School currently offers Chicano studies, and it's proven to be a very popular course at Norte Vista. this year, we're excited to, under the supervision of our Director of Equity and Access, Georgina Ramirez, Hillcrest High School is piloting ethnic studies curriculum, pieces of that into their AVID classes.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's another component that we're building in. So when the model curriculum is released to us, we will absolutely assemble a committee that consists of a wide variety of stakeholders, right? We want to bring a lot of people in on this to create our own courses. And then we hope to have these courses developed then to move on to our high schools and pilot those for next year, right? So it won't yet be a graduation requirement, but we're going to get those courses started.
Right.
And then, of course, Ms. Ramirez has been attending the CDE Ethnic Studies sessions that they advertise, and she participates in that. So she, of course, will be helping to lead this work for us. So we are absolutely going to be prepared for this, and we're very excited. And it's been a little time coming, and we're just waiting for CDE to release that curriculum for us, and then we can go.
Terrific. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
That's wonderful. Wonderful information. Joanna has sent me Dr. Dorado has sent me a note, so she would like to speak. Dr. Dorado.
Okay, hi, good evening. I just wanted to say thank you, Trustee Vega, for bringing this for a discussion. As you wanted to hear from us, the board, I want to let you know I 100% support this initiative. I, as a board member, trustee, I want you to know this topic specifically has my support. Just having that we're in the situation we're in right now, I know it is hard sometimes with our budget situation or our COVID situation to sometimes really come down to what made us run for trustee in the area. And I think this is of a great passion for myself as well. Have taken ethnic studies at UCR. I just really wish that I just want to let people like Gustavo that are pioneers on Chicano studies. We want people that are planting seeds in our district to know as a board, or as a board, you have our support. As you can see, there's a lot of things that are being put in place. And I often think that our students are more engaged when they know about their background, when they know about, they have leaders, they're learning about their history within the classroom, especially with online learning and COVID. I know sometimes our big concern as educators is that disengagement that students are having with just online learning. So I'm really happy to hear that Chris is adopting a model, and I hope to see that after getting the curriculum on March, that was like last year, I middle school started adopting curriculum as well. So that's what I wanted to say this evening regarding the topic.
Thank you, Dr. Dorado. Is there anybody else who would like to speak on this?
Of course. I'm trying to do so much better to respect all of my colleagues' time because I could talk all day, as we all know. But I do want to applaud Vice President Vega. This is something that you have been talking about for over a year now. And I appreciate that President Wilson, you made sure that it got on the agenda for tonight's meeting. I also would like to applaud Georgina Ramirez for, as Vice President Vega, it is a passion for her as well, and something she's been very excited to bring forward. I'm ecstatic to know that our students will be able to hear and have pride in their cultures and respect for one another's cultures, and that we're giving a voice and we're giving them the power to exercise their voice with education through such a wonderful opportunity in ethnic studies here in Alvord. Looking forward to seeing that curriculum, looking forward to seeing the change and the excitement with our students and staff as they begin to engage and learn so much more in regards to this topic. So again, I echo the sentiments of Dr. Dorado. Thank you for staying steadfast and making sure that it got on and it's a discussion. And thank you to the cabinet, to the staff for believing that our children deserve this opportunity. It's going to really change our community for the better. So I appreciate it.
Thank you, Mrs. Marino. I would like to speak to that. Okay.
I have
With
a
that,
couple
we're going to,
comments.
thank you very much. Oh, I'm sorry, Robert. Okay.
Just a couple of quick comments. First, Lizette brings it up
Certainly.
as a passion and an interest, and Sherry's already got all the information. That's very good, Sherry. That is great. I think us as a board, it goes to Lizette's comments about holding us accountable to make sure we deliver it, is going to be that we support Sherry. If any roadblocks come up in the delivery of the program, we need to help try to knock those barriers down to make sure it happens. So thank you, Lizette, for bringing it up. Appreciate it. Sherry, look forward to seeing what you can come out with.
Yes. It's very exciting. It's very exciting. Thank you so much again, Vice President Vega, for bringing this forward. This is, I'm telling you, our board is such an incredible district, and for having an our board. And I'm so proud of you.
I'm afraid that we
Mr.
have lost Madam President here for a moment. Those of you listening, Madam President, you might want to leave and come back.
Okay. I can
Okay,
do
there
that.
you are. Yeah, you.
Wait, we hear you now.
The last thing you said was that Albert is an incredible school district. Why don't you pick it up from there?
You're on mute.
Now,
Oh, now I need to do it.
now you're muted.
All righty. How's that?
There we go.
There you go.
Your excitement is.
It was. I just froze everything.
There you
I
go.
froze everything. Sorry. It is. It's a wonderful district. It's a wonderful district and exciting. This is exciting news. And I really like that Lizette said this, that, you know, she grew up and she could see people that look like her. And that just makes me, because that's, you know, I'm older than you and I did that. And so it's really exciting that if they can do it, I can do it. And so it's very exciting. And I look forward to this. Look forward to it a lot. Okay. And with that, thank you again. We're going to go to 9D1, quarterly report, Williams uniform complaint. Dr. Presby. Maybe.
Sorry, new headset, new computer.
That's okay. No.
There are no Williams complaints for the fourth quarter, and that reporting period ended July 10th. The new quarter starts July through September, and those Williams reports will be due October 11th.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's wonderful news. Thank you very much. All right. With that, we are going to adjourn this meeting. But before we do that, again, we'd like to thank, on behalf of the Board of Education, I'd like to thank everybody for their comments and their emails and their texts. And we really appreciate you reaching out to us and talking to us and sharing us your opinions and your views. We appreciate it. And we just, you know, we are an Albert family and we'll get through this together. And we just appreciate you very much. And thank you for joining us for this meeting. And with that, I'm going to adjourn the meeting at 7:50. So good night, everybody. And the next board meeting is August 20th, but I have a sneaky feeling that we will have probably a special in there in between. So I'm sure we'll see you before August 20th. So with that, is there anything else, Dr. Muzzarino, that you would like to say before we adjourn?
There's not, Madam President. Just to reiterate your comments. Thank you all for participating tonight.
All right. Thank you, everybody. And with that, please take care, everybody. Be well, be safe. And we will see you very soon.